If you feel like you're watching your life happen instead of living it, this episode, it's for you. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, where we help driven people find peace without losing their edge. Today, you'll learn how disconnection creates that spectator feeling, why we abandon ourselves without even realizing it, and how to come back home to your own life. So, the disconnection and that spectator feeling, inherently, it's almost as if you're stuck in your thoughts. And I know you've heard, don't think that your thoughts are you. But they very much do feel like you. So how can we understand the root of that disconnection? That's really the question. And also, what is that spectator feeling? So, looking at the root of the disconnection, it's a desire. It's a shame that you are not where you're meant to be. Where did that come from? Probably a comparison. So you have a desire, you have a shame, you have comparison, you have ideas from others, you have your own ambition to be someone, to create a certain life. That's the root of the disconnection. The ideas, the desire, the competition, the comparison. And then you feel small. So that's what the spectator is. Feeling small, feeling weak, getting quote unquote down on yourself. When you're connected, you maybe you shoot that stuff down, but you don't deny it. It's not as in you judge the thoughts that you notice you're thinking, but it's rather that you see that you're thinking that way, and then you don't get drowned, you don't get swallowed by the wave of your thought. Because the thought could be the desire, could be an insecurity, could be a fear, could be an anger, could be a grudge. But ultimately, it's an idea. The thought is a thought. And you are not just your thoughts. You can also watch them. You can feel them. You can see what they create in you, in how you move and how you speak to others. When you think a certain thought, it changes how you speak to others if you don't notice it, right? If you get swallowed by that thought. I don't necessarily have an example, but maybe we could look at a story. I've had many moments in my life where I have a thought and I notice that thought. Had I not noticed it, it would completely change the way I behave in that situation. But since I noticed the thought, let go of the thought, realize that the thought is simply a thought, that we have 80,000 plus thoughts on day on average, then you can move again freely. So the spectator is different than the observer. I would say the disconnection it creates a spectator where you're stuck in your thought, but the observer isn't trapped by the thought. The observer understands how to dive and swim through the wave, which the thought may be. So the connection creates that observing. The connection allows you to see who you are, to see your reactions, without taking it all so seriously. And that energy that would be otherwise wasted or spent on the seriousness, the extrapolation, the extension of that initial being swallowed by the wave, which is thought, that's the next question, right? What happens to that energy that would otherwise be wasted in that manner, but you're no longer wasting it because you're not a spectator anymore. You're actually a connected, aware, aligned observer, which means that you are both the thought and the observer. There's not a disconnection. There's a more so of a play. It's a game rather than I'm supposed to be this way, whatever. That conflict disappears. You see who you are, you understand who you are, and if you need to change, then you ask the questions that are going to give you the answers to change, right? If you're feeling down, what do I need to do to smoothen this out? you're going to get an answer which is pointing you in a certain action or a direction physically. Now, why we abandon ourselves without even realizing it? This is where the ideas, right? The pressure from the external world, conditioning, tradition, culture, the news, professors. If we listen to that which isn't true without questioning it, then we can make something that is false into the truth. And then if we are living through a false truth, then that'll lead us to doubt ourselves, to ask what's wrong with me. Why am I the way I am? But inherently, that is only an outcome of conforming. See, as when you question, and you don't abandon yourself because you question, you're skeptical, then you'll notice that maybe everyone who seems to have it figured out doesn't have it all figured out. And then you see, wait, maybe no one has it figured out. Maybe I just have an idea that, oh, since they have a nice house, their life's perfect, but maybe they're just like a headless chicken rushing around over caffeinated all day. And they're aging fast, right? And they don't feel great every day. Now, you let that go. You don't start to think, oh, I'm better than them. No, you just realize that maybe the way that your mind has come up with all these ideas, that it's better somewhere else. Maybe that's just the nature of the way division works. And how can you live a life where you're not so divided? That's a question. That's a good question. How can you live a life where it's not you versus them, but you get inspired by others? Right? One of the big shifts is no longer kind of projecting weakness outward, but noticing your weakness and silencing it through the noticing, right? Whereas you see someone with a nice car and then you notice your mind be like, rah, they probably did something unethical to get that nice car. You silence that. You notice, wait, where did I even get that idea? Maybe my dad told me it. Maybe culture programmed it into me. Maybe I watched a video that referenced something of that nature. So it's extremely important while you listen to me not to just believe anything that I say, but to notice how your heart feels whilst listening, to observe what you're thinking whilst listening, because that's the actual integration of this awareness of the work. The words that I say, they're not meant to be taken as truth. The words that I say, they're meant to be felt and heard. And if you can hear, then you hear. Because the truth's in you. It's in each of us. But there is work that has to happen for the false, the dark, if you will, the distortion to be burnt off. And we're all in that. That's what we're all here for, is the burning off of that, ink in the water, the re-clarifying of the initial state. And when you look at children, they're pure. Children are pure, non-coincidentally, because they just don't have that much pressure. Their psyche hasn't absorbed all of this. Now, if you can listen and hear without absorbing, then you can understand how to transmute. Then all the energy that you receive, it can be moved, worked magically. And then it stays with you, but in a new way, in a new manner. It drives you. This is the art of changing your relationship, changing who you are, being new, inviting new energy into this world. Now, how to come back home to your own life. I don't know if you've gone through the phase or not, but everyone needs some form of isolation, a phase where you're kind of alone, you're not super busy. That doesn't mean you don't work 30, 40 hours a week, but it means that the work you do isn't exhausting. Somehow, some way, there has to be a period, a day in your week where you have leisure. Even if you're working 6 days a week and on your one day off, you go for a 3-hour hike, and part of that hike is just sitting by a river. Part of that hike is just watching an ant climb a leaf, watching how the ant moves around. That's the start to coming home to your own life. Creating that leisure to just be without the ambition, without the I need to get this next raise. Or, oh man, it'll be so cool once I get that color wrap on my car. Or just once I get that new tile in the bathroom, etc. When you come back home to your own life, the ambition, the desire, the planning, it's not in your psyche. And this is where balance is integrated. As in, obviously you need to make money, you need to pay your bills. So your life can't just be leisure. But if it's only work, if it's only play, if it's only fun and distraction and entertainment, and there's no leisure, there's not a stable homeostasis where you are just with your thoughts, watching, just being, that's why your life feels the way it would. That's why your life would feel as if you're not home, as if it's just better on the other side of the river. But where you are right now is where you need to be. And the only constant is change. So, right? That's the dance. You're where you need to be, but if you stay where you are, you're not where you need to be. So, inherently look for where you can change in your life. Look where you can subtract busyness from your days. Look where you can install some orderliness into your systems. Whether it be digitally, business-wise, physical cleanliness. Where can you make your home beautiful without getting all excited about it? Keep the breath. Plan, but plan through awareness. Journal. Let it come out. Don't sit down and force yourself to create a masterclass blueprint. Just get a list. Start with a list. Put the list into categories. Figure out the priorities on the list. A couple priorities for each category. You create your life holistically in that manner, you're gonna have something which feels like you're at home. But you built it. You have to almost feel as if you're not at home to start learning where you need to change. So rock bottom, if you haven't hit rock bottom, hey, the cool thing about the depths is they propel you. You go down so fast, crashing, burning, you'll bounce off the bottom. But if you don't take the risk, if you play life safe, if you're so focused on security, fitting in, then you never start to crack the veal. And it's only once you begin to crack the veal and you keep knocking. I read something yesterday, knock with your hands until they're bloody and then knock with your forehead. That's not force. That's a little different. The force would be just knocking with your hands even when they're bloody. But the effort is realizing, okay, you've bloodied your hands, now knock with your forehead. Keep going. But take a step back too. Then keep going. Stretch the band. Don't break it. Let it snap back. Stretch the band, let it come back slowly. Maybe you got to break it once to realize that you to see how you're moving. Now the recap. How disconnection creates that spectator feeling. You get trapped in your emotions, in your thoughts, rather than transmuting the energy. It's one thing to stay trapped in fear. It's another thing to shine light on the fear and let it turn into some new, fresh diesel or fuel or electrical current. Something of that nature. Now, you have to be sort of like a wizard in this life. You also need to be quite calm, quite practical, like a scientist. Be both a wizard and a scientist. Now, why we abandon ourselves without even realizing it. And this is if you let yourself be swallowed by an energy and you don't question that energy, then you'll begin to believe the lie. But if you can question your worldviews, your beliefs, the things that parents told you, the things that books told you, the things that professors, culture, tradition has all instilled within this world. Disconnect from news, disconnect from mainstream. And then you'll start to see who you actually are. And when you know who you are, then you'll catch on to the currents. And when you dance anew, when you invite fresh energy into this world, you can only do that for so long until things work for you. And sometimes the phase of building that momentum, planting those seeds, and things working for you takes time. You can't have an expectation around having a reward for doing this work. You do this work because your heart shows you there's no other path for you to walk. And when that's on your heart, when that's something seen so clearly, what are you going to do? Refute the truth that God put on your heart? That's how you find yourself in hell. And I'm not going to say hell is anything. Hell is within you. And so is heaven. Both within you. You're the creator. So create. See what you're building. Take a step back. Refine what you've already built. Maybe tear down what you've built. That's all in your power. That's what I'll tell you though. It's all in your power. And how to come back home to your own life? Movement. Get moving. And as you move, take notes. Write about the patterns. Write about the essence of the wave that drowns you. Understand, question, be curious about learning how to dive through the waves. Learning how to notice them and let go of them. Something practical you can do if you notice you want to itch your body, sit with it. Don't itch it. Sit with the urge to itch. That's very practical. Another one you can do is just look. Look at your hand. Just look at all the lines, every detail within your hand. Because it's that sort of attentiveness that is the pathway to your heart waking up and you living the life that you need to live. And hey, sometimes you move fast, but even when moving fast, you'll have that awareness of every detail. So ultimately, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Love you very much. I'm grateful for you. Keep listening. If this helps you, keep listening. If this really changes how you feel, share it with someone who might need to change how they feel. But it means the world to me that you take the time to listen. It really does. It means the world to me. If you want to work one-on-one and ultimately change your relationships, get into the best shape of your life, start to be less sucked in by those waves, which we label thought, memory, knowledge, experience, projecting into now, then hey, check the link in the description. Because I can't do this work with everyone, but the right people, I know they'll find me. And of course, I have to put the message out, so that's why I end the video in this manner, because how shall they find me if I don't put it out there, right? But best shape of your life, beautiful relationships, getting rid of the weakness within you, the part of you which is scared, the part of you which seeks security, the part of you that is attached to things which keep you weak and small. If all of that needs to change for you, and you're just ready to be someone powerful, be moving through this world at your top tier capacity, then again, right down below, check it out. I'm excited to do the work. Let's go.